Hello everybody. Hope you guys are doing well. So today we will be continuing our journey, and today we will be studying uh, how we are going to do a mapping of names to addresses. So basically, we were in DNS, right? So we learned that the job of the domain name server is basically to map our IP address to a name, right? But then the problem with this is we want a unique name to be established, right? Now DNS stands for domain name server. Now if you talk about domain, so domain is like a specific thing. For example, a person is doing a PhD in a specific domain, right? So that is why we have kept this name as domain name server. Now, how is the mapping names to address going to happen? So there is something called as a resolver that is going to sit, right. Now, most of the time, the resolver gives a domain name to the server and asks for the corresponding address. Now, in this case, the server checks the generic domains. So we said that the naming is like an hierarchy, right? Here is where you have the root, and here is where you have top level domains, and then you have low level domains. So this hierarchy was introduced because if we have a single name, then we need to create a centralized file, right? And this kind of becomes an single point of failure issue, right? That means if this file gets corrupted or if anything is lost in this file, then the entire data is gone. So instead of using this single file, what we do is we use other possible mechanisms or ways, right. Now for example, so that is why our website name will not be a single name, right. It will have different domains present, because we need to construct this hierarchy like structure, right. Now this hierarchy structure will be generated from the left, right. So this will be my top level domains, and then you will have the low level domains. Now the why do we need a name to address mapping is, remember, when we send a request, so when this is okay, why do we need that IP to address mapping? So this is our client, right, and this is a computer itself, and this is a server. This is also like a performance enhanced server, right. And as it can, the memory and everything can be reduced. You can have multiple copies of it being created. So basically it's a computer. So if you want to access one computer, you need the physical address, right. So basically this address is going to be a number, because the computer can only understand this number. So what we do is we kind of do but the problem is, the client who is using this application, or for example a browser, it will become a headache for him, right. If suppose if you have to enter the exact IP of Google, right, it is kind of very difficult to do that. So instead what we do is we do domain to name matching. So the client will send an request, instead of typing the number, or he will type the website name. Now then it goes to, so it does not directly go to the server, right. So what will happen is it will go to something called as a domain name system. Now if that now generally our local ISP also does a cache of most commonly used domains, so it might be returned from here as well, or in your browser as well. There is something called as domain name server cache, where most, for example, if it's a Google Chrome browser, and most probably you will have the Google IP address to name matching will be stored in a local cache. Now this is yeah, so assuming that our contents are neither present here nor they are present in the ISP dear cache, what we do is we go to the domain name server. Now the job of this domain name server is to return to this an IP address, right? Because if you have the website, this is not so the client when it leaves cannot see the name, right? It only can read an address, so it needs an address. So what will happen is it will go to the DNS. Now here is when the DNS resolver will come into picture. There are different types of DNS resolver that we are going to talk about, and we'll see how it is going to work. Okay, so now now what will this resolver do is it will give the exact IP, and then this IP will be sent to the client. Now once it has the IP, it knows where the packet has to be transferred. So then we'll go to the server address. Now so now let's study about mapping names to addresses. Now most of the time the resolver gives a domain name to the server and asks for corresponding address. Now in this case the server checks the generic domains or the country domains to find the mapping. If the domain name is from the generic domain, the resolver receives a domain such as the query chal.atc.jhda.edu. Now the query is sent by the resolver to the local DNS server for resolution. If the local resolver does not, so there are levels, right? So first is uh, uh, the first it will send to a local DNS resolver. If it is still not resolved, then it will send to other server or ask other servers directly. Now a client, now mapping addresses to name. Now a client can send an IP address to the server be mapped to a domain name. As mentioned before, this is called a PTR query. To answer queries of this kind, a DSS uses the inverse domain. However, in this request, the IP address is reversed and two labels in ADR and ARPA are appended to create a domain acceptable by inverse domain sections. For example, what I'm trying to say is, if I have an IP address called as 132, the resolver first inverts the address and then adds two labels before sending. The domain name sent is which is received by the local DNS. So now there is one step is doing here. Now why are we appending this thing? The DNS uses the inverse domain. However, if the request IP address is reversed and two labels in ADR and ARPA are appended at the end to create a domain acceptable by the inverse domain section. For example, if the resolver receives the IP address, the resolver will first. Okay, so so how is the mapping going to happen? So why do we append in an okay, let's see here. Like, what's the advantage of doing that? Okay, so there is one more process called as reverse DNS lookup. So in this, what we do is we add at the end in adr.arpa. Basically, that is going to indicate that the name is inversed and the address has been inversed and it's being sent. Now there are two algorithms or two ways of resolution of the domain name to uh, domain name to address, right? So the resolution will happen in two steps. There are two algorithms or two meaning depending upon how the resolution or how the resolver is implemented. It will be like a recursive resolver, and the other one will be an iterative resolver. So recursive resolver, um, so whenever you are saying a recursive resolution is, for example, um, so in recursive resolution we are going to send the in recursive resolution we are going to send the final answer uh, in so in recursive resolution we will be sending the final answer, and remember the final answer is basically going to be the IP address, right? If the server is the authority for the domain name, it checks its database and response. For example, if I am at if I am a root level, a top level server, right? For example, the website mentioned is www.3ws.google.com, and I'm a, what do you say, a top level server, and I am an edu server. So edu will not match with .com, right? So instead, what I will do is I will check if there is any. If I don't find that matching, then I will send it to the other top level domains, and this will continue to happen until the query is resolved and the resolved response is sent back until we have sent to the client. So this is how it is going to work. I mean, this is how it is going to first. Yeah. So unless we have the final resolution, we won't send it back to the client. Now, an iterative resolution is that means so in this iteratively we are going to loop over all possible clients that can resolve the query. The problem with this is it is more time consuming, right? It is iterative because you are going to repeat the query to all the servers. Now, if the client queries 4 servers before it get an answer from the macro.com server. Now, what is resolution? So it recursive is also the same, right? Uh, okay, let's see recursive resolution process. Recursive. Okay, now let's see an example how this recursive resolution is going to work. So this is our client, right, which is in most cases it's a browser. It can be a web app or a mobile app as well. So this is my application. What and then so this is now going to send. So I have written. Suppose I have mentioned the website name, right? So that is www. So I have mentioned the website name. This is the name of the website, right? Now, once I have mentioned this, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the local DNS resolver. So I went here. Now this is my local DNS. So let's say this is my local. Now if it will check, do I have the IP? It will check for the IP. If no, then what it does is uh, it will ask the root server. Then it will go to the root server. For example, like which is basically the root server here is example.com, right? So it goes to that server, and then if that doesn't have the IP address cached, then so what does this will do is, so it will check which is my top level is .com, right? So it then sends it to .com. Okay. This is, so I'm at a top level domain name server. Now then this is going to have the IP, right? So this is going to return the IP. So basically I'm going to do multiple queries, and the resolver is going to cache the result for the request, right? Now how is iterative resolving working? So iterative is like repeating some process. Now here I'm not repeating any process. Oh, so remember here this is happening only in one go, right? So this is the final answer which is being said. Now okay, let's see how if my server or if my resolver was an iterative. So this is my resolver, right? Okay. So this is my application that has been working here. So this is my app level, right? Now what it is going to do is, now the browser asks, so suppose I'm running an application, right? So this is for a let's for convenience. Okay, so we are assuming that we want www dot exam example.com. And then now what we are going to do is we are going to first send to, so now when this request is when we have typed this address, what will the browser say is, provide me the don't give me the name, do the instead give me the IP for this. So now what will happen is, this will go to the resolver, and okay, so what it is going to do is, now this is my resolver. So then what it is going to do is, so this is going to go to the root, right? This is, suppose this is my root. So what it will do is, it will go to the root. So this is my, let's say this is my root which is present here. So that query will now go to from the resolver to the root, right? Now in the root it will check if whether is that do I have the IP address to it? No. So what it will do is instead it will return back. I know the .com top level domain. You can try searching it here. Now the will send another request to the top level domain, right, which is .com. So now this is I am at .com top level domain. Now it will check and see, do I have this IP address in it? No. Then it will return it back another server name, and it will tell that this possibly your IP address may be present in that server. So then it will send another query out to the authoritative or the DNS that holds it, and finally is when the DNS will reply back with the IP. So why it is iterative is because this process of querying is happening multiple times, right? Every time we do, we are going to repeat the same process to the until unless we have the IP, right? So remember here the resolver was going to the .com, and then the .com. So it was like one single flow, right? I mean, there were no multiple queries being happening. Why I'm saying it is a query is because we are going to ask, right, do you have the name or not? If yes, then do you have the IP to name mapping or not? If yes, then give me the name. So this is how it is going to work, right? Now there is one more thing we said, that why do we need to pay money, right? Now this resolution is like so there are companies that are managing these domains, right? So GoDaddy basically is an intermediary in between, that sits between this. Now it is going to send a request to this registry to provide the name and the address, and this is in turn going to return the name or the address. So uh, I mean, this is a top level thing, right? So this kind of acts as an intermediary. Now it is much like, for example, you buy a house, right? The first thing that you want to do is you want to have the property papers being assigned to your name, right? So for that you will contact your realtor or estate manager, and that estate manager is going to contact the government or the state authorities, which will do the final registry for you, right? So this intermediary is nothing but my GoDaddy. So GoDaddy will take commission. You cannot directly come in contact with this top level domains. I mean, can we? So my doubt is, instead of having our own domain, yeah, we can contact top level domain, but this is not the no. So what I'm saying is, instead of going through the long process, can I contact? No, we cannot, because we are going to contact a domain registrar, right? That registrar is basically going to yeah, that. So this, you cannot bypass and go it directly to the government. You need to have this intermediary in process. However, remember this .com TL is also maintained by some company, right? So you cannot directly go and contact them. You need an intermediary that will do the job for you. Okay, and okay, so the now you see you have different companies, right? For example, suppose this is Amazon, right? I mean, if you have seen this, I don't know whether you have seen this, but you know, Amazon changes its top level domains based on the location. So there is um, so what it is going to do is it is going to what it does is so it operates separate country specific domains for different regions, right? For example, if you are in say if you are in UK, you will use a website that has dot it will be dot UK. If you are in India, it will be uh, dot in. If you are in CA, it will be dot CA. If you are in or if you are in uh, some, for example, if you are in Germany, it will be DE. And if you are in USA, I guess it's already it's Amazon dot on US. If you are in USA, it will be dot com. There is no additional there is no other because here is when the company was established, right? So it was built in USA, right? So this is again, so you have different so Amazon uses something called as a local what to say geographically separated or a localized websites for each country. So now this is, or it operates with country specific domains, right? So this is again a top level domain. So let's see so there are in total uh, so there are total 14 uh, the most commonly or the most widely 14 domains that are used are first is .com, right? It is the most, so this is the .com one. Then you have .org. If it's a non-profit organization, you typically end it with .org. Now if it's intended for networking, then you do .net. If it's a government, then it is .gov. If it's something for colleges, you do .edu. If it's military, then you do .mil. If it's company or a corporation, you do .co. If it's USA, then you do okay. And the other you have is geographically separated sites, right? For example, .ca, .co. So you have other country codes based top level domains. So these are basically the top 14 types of top level domain servers which are being used to form your website name. So whenever you go to the registry, right? So for example, let's go to godaddy.com and try registering our website. I don't know. So let's go daddy.com. Let's say GoDaddy. Now see, this is the official website, right? Now, so then we are going to type what type. Suppose if I want .ca. So let's see. Or if I want a .com. Okay, so let's type our website. For example, g1.ca. Now, is this available? Yes, this is available, but then it will be see, it's taking a broker service fee. Remember how it is mentioned is like this is a brokerage server. So when you purchase our domains, you get a dedicated broker who will contact the current owner and negotiate. But then this is not since it is our own. So other possible domains that are is, you have one is tech, then you have digital, you have shop, you have live. So if I click on any one of them, so for the first year it's not going to be dollar. So let's make it, or let's so let's try purchasing it. So okay, let's do a Google login here, and let's see what happens. We won't go to till the payment. We'll see what steps. It's like it will be basically like a questionnaire, I believe. But then okay, so then so you will have certain other additional features that okay, yeah. So basically, this is like in-mail services, right? Based on your what do you say? Based on your so you will, based on your domain, you have a specific dedicated mailbox also available. So let's continue and let's see. Okay, so this is basically what I'm going to add. Do I need a mailbox? Okay, so the total is going to be here. This is my purchase place. I don't know. So here is basically I have just done I have just like what name is my website, right? Um, so then then we need to go to DNS measurement. Now in DNS section there will be a record section. You might have a default record there. These are used to point your domain to an IP address. So then we can do add a new record. So this is when we are going to point our website to a IP address, and then we are going to do the host. So basically, it's basic. Everything is taken care by the DNS, right? I mean, this is sorry, everything is taken care of by GoDaddy. It acts like a brokerage. It's like acts like a broker, because whenever you need to go to the government, right? You need to submit additional documents. There are 100 types of uh, responsibilities or forms, so that all will be taken care by the realtor for you. You just need to go to the realtor and then, or the broker service, or any godaddy.com or any registry services. Just register with them, and they will take care of all this responsibility of registering your. And then only thing that you need to do is you need to map your IP to your name that you have selected, and the remaining settings such as how the top level domain, these are all basically will be taken care by GoDaddy. You do not need to worry how it's internally going to work. And now so because DNS has an hierarchical structure, so your website will be will also have an hierarchy, or it wouldn't be a single name. It will be having different fields, and each field will be separated by a dot. So yeah, basically this is how yeah, this dot is basically what is referring to our root domain, right? So at the end as well, you have a null character or a dot, and then you have these websites. So this .com is one domain, and then inside you have .example, and then this is how the secondary level. This is the secondary level domain, and this is the top level domain name. And remember, we always need the fully qualified domain name, right? You can browsers are optimized, right? You can, even if you use the partially qualified domain name, it will add or generate this fully qualified domain name, and only then will you be able to resolve the IP address to name. So I guess yeah, this is all for this lecture. I hope you guys liked it, and then now we'll be starting with some core protocols. Or okay, so for example, how to do a remote login, and then what is electronic mail, how does that work, and then file transfer as well. Yeah, this is all for today's lecture. I'll see you guys in the next one with little more um, more in detail about the application layer protocols. And yeah, so yeah, that is all from my end. See you guys in the next one. Till that time, take care. Bye bye.